Good evening. I must welcome all of you here. A very warm welcome for giving your time. I believe there is some traffic also, so some more people will be joining us. But yeah, I mean, this room is so full of experiences in people who are actually doing the work in the trenches. So my duty here is to make people speak. So I'll quickly get into the details of what we are trying to achieve here. Again, something that we have discussed. Dr. Ramrao also was there in our event just about a month ago. Less than a month ago. So, and at that time we had said that he spoke like a academic, institution professor. So we'll have that from him here also. So quickly to really take you through the entire process today, we'll have a round of introductions, very short, and then we will move into presentation from Rockwell, which Krishna will be doing. Must be eagerly waiting. Yeah, right. All set? Good. Great. And then we'll get into the discussion, and then we'll wrap it up there. So it's going to be a fun evening, and we'll want all of you to be heard from all your experiences. You will have a hard stop at 7, but we'll try to keep you as much as we can. So thank you so much. With that, quick round of intros. Dilip, you're
come back to the All right. No, thank you so much. First of all, glad to have you all over here, and it's a pleasure to make some new connections and renew some old connections, some really very old connections as well. So, quick introduction about myself, Dilip Sawhney. I lead the Rockwell Automation India operations. Been with the organization for a while now, about a decade and a half. Frequent traveler to Hyderabad, so glad to be back over here. And this is you all know this. I mean, this is one of the most critical, important industries for an organization that says it's a global leader in industrial automation, digital transformation, and to have the opportunity to be here in Hyderabad to converse with you all on this topic. Looking forward to the evening, and thank you so much once again.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Going like this or
yeah, we'll take it like this.
Okay, I am Venkat Narayan, Venkat Narayan, in fact, and I'm here. I am working with Dr. Reddy's laboratories for a long time, and I have also headed the department which was responsible for getting the World Economic Forum's Advanced Digital Lighthouse status for one of the flagship plants of Dr. Reddy's, which is called as FTO3. It's a formulation manufacturing unit, and therefore, while I am a hardcore operations guy, but had to learn a lot of digital. And I think that was good that an operations guy was made in charge of this work rather than giving it to hardcore IT people. I have nothing against them. I mean, I work with them. But the problems that are faced by the shop floor are most of the times not so deeply known to the IT guys. And that's why I keep saying that, you celebrate go live, but I celebrate only when it gets implemented in all the corners of wherever it can be done. Only then the benefit starts, beginning to show up. Wow. So that's the difference in the outlook.
Amazing.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Wonderful.
In this August presence.
You were part of the lighthouse, and you still said you are learning. So that's about humility. Thank you so much, Tushar.
All right. So going after Venkatnarayan is a tough task, and I was actually thinking that I should change my place. Can I change it somewhere else?
You bond well.
Yeah, by the way, when he speaks, we all listen. We are like, okay, let him complete. All right, so my name is Tushar. I'm from Origin, again, a Dr. Reddy's company, and I'm looking after the digital. I'm an IT guy, by the way. But I worked with him, I worked with Mr. Ramarao, I worked with Rajesh, Shimanshu. So I was talking that this is our reunion.
Yeah.
Mr. Krishna is also there.
I'm now becoming you.
So yeah, let it be Dr. Reddy's reunion.
Perfect.
I am basically a comp science grad who strayed into the pharmaceutical industry post my management degrees. It's good to be here.
Killer combination. Right. Viren.
So I'm Viren. I'm from Gravity Pharmaceutical. So there I'm leading I would say, transformation in the R&D and manufacturing. I have a computational fluid dynamics background. I'm a chemical engineer and worked with the Synopsys for 11 years. and doing lots of work with the pharma, oil, and other companies. So all the transformation, digital twin, they came from that world actually. So I worked with Dr. Amarrao and many other people in Dr. Reddy's doing those. I'm happy to channel this energy here as well. Thank you.
This is a small former Dr. Reddy's and present Dr. Reddy's reunion.
Actually, it is actually.
Because I'll add to that.
Still to do. Last one is yet to go.
The IT side of it, starting from ERP implementation, digital transformations, all of that, into the MES implementations in Bicon and all. So good to be here. Like I said, I met all the old guys, old colleagues who were part of, including Himanshu and all. Yeah.
We've not started this queue, so.
Yeah, please.
Okay, hi. First of all, thank you so much. I'm feeling privileged to be here and happy to meet all my ex-colleagues and friends. So I take care of the IT and digital in PI Health Sciences. We are setting up CRO CDMO in Hyderabad. So that's the plan, to see that how do we take it further on the faster track.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I'm Rakesh. I work for Biologically. I take care of their vaccine operations at the manufacturing level. And I have been part of so many things here and there. I have been with Venkat also, though in different site. So whatever the gyan they used to develop at FTO 2 and 3, we used to get it in that trickle down. The good part we have been is that though it was happening at one place, but we have been together, informed, involved. So that is the good part. By education, I am a pharmacist, studied in engineering college, and my all colleagues are either chemical engineering, electronics, mechanical. In IIT Varanasi, they teach pharmacy along with that. So first 2 years I go to chemical engineering department, mechanical engineering departments. Only the last 2 years in my department, which is a pharmacy, gives me. So a blend of everything. That's all. So I don't know the jack of all trade or quality. That sort. And I'm happy to be here. It's a good interactions with old colleague and the new technology. That's all. Thank you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We'll wait for Rajesh to come, but yeah. For us, Professor Ram Rao. One more thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, thank you, Dilip and Vikas, again, meeting again,
Of
because
course.
it's always a pleasure to be
Thank
in your forums. And I think I'm literally, I am meeting all of them, some of them recently, some of them after a very, very long time, Krishna Sai, after maybe almost 10 years. So I think it's a wonderful reunion. I also see a guy who is also from PI, but ex-colleague of Dr. Reddy's. So it's a wonderful Ram Kumar, I know very well from yesteryears. So it has been a good thing. But just for others' benefit, I'm a PhD in chemical engineering, started as a high-end technocrat, then got into manufacturing, then I was heading the new product development of Dr. Reddy's and global oncology portfolio for a few years, and then moved into global manufacturing. That's where Dilip and me worked together to establish a manufacturing facility in Vizag, which is completely digital at that time. I don't know how it is now. And I think Krishna Sai was there as a part of the team, and then moved on to heading the business of pharmaceutical services and active ingredients of Dr. I moved to PI Industries as CEO and then executive director, worked there for 3 years, then came to Granules. Till a few days ago, I was a CEO and a joint managing director of Granules. And then now I think I'm just relaxing.
Wonderful. Yeah.
For the last 3 days, I've been. That's why I asked Mahima, you are inviting me as a joint managing director and CEO, or you're inviting me as Dr. Reddy? So she said, no, please come.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So thanks very much, and very nice to interact with you, and look forward to an engaging evening with all of you.
So maybe after that we all should go on mute. let him leave.
Right. No. One more time. Yeah. One more time. Yeah.
Thank you for having me here. You can call me Ram. I'm basically a chemical engineer. 26 years of experience, all in pharma.
So one observation is, if anybody is having about 20 years of experience, either they might have worked in Dr. Reddy's or Ranbaxy. So
That's very fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
so I used to work for both Dr. Reddy's as well as Ranbaxy. I also worked for Cybersecurity for 7.5 years. And then later I moved to Aragen, and now I'm heading the CDMO operations of Suven Pharmaceuticals. Now we renamed as Cohance Life Sciences. So I head up CDMO operations.
Right.
Nice to see all of you. Look forward to have a very interactive session.
Fantastic, and this is how good it can get. And it's a small and a beautiful world. All of you know each other so well. So again, a nice platform for networking and taking some really good insights from this discussion. So thank you so much again. About time for Krishna to take it up the stage. Yeah.
Another Krishna.
Yeah, one more Krishna. Yeah, sorry, I have to say Krishna Rockwell and Krishna Matrix. So, yeah. Yeah. Right.
Before he starts, Rajesh.
Oh, Rajesh. Okay, so cool. Thank you so much. And welcome.
Right
here.
time, Rajesh.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the time for a quick introduction, Rajesh. If you want to say a minute about yourself.
They'll give a minute to Krishna to set
it up. Yeah. So they've all done the introduction.
Everything just falls in place.
And it almost felt like a Dr. Reddy's room. So you can feel very comfortable. So.
Yeah, when I was looking at the mail list, then I saw, okay, it's actually also an opportunity to meet everyone together. Though from Dr. Reddy's, we don't meet often. And then Himanshu, you also, there are ex-Dr. Reddy's also. So
exactly.
I thought it's an opportunity to, hi, Sai. So it's
So 1, 2, 3, 4.
So everyone.
My God. Yeah, I don't need to count, I think. Yeah.
I feel
there's an exception.
The exception is what you
Work very closely.
It's writing.
So shall I? Okay. Yeah, Rajesh, part of the pharmaceutical industry for about now 25 years.
Yeah.
Primarily into manufacturing quality space. For last 15 years, this is how I would say, first 10 years I was running behind bacterias. Because I was more into probably an injectable expert. That's what I would like to be known as. And then the last 15 years running behind zeros and ones. So these are two phases of my career. So I'm currently responsible for digitalization in manufacturing, quality, and a little bit of supply chain processes at Dr. Reddy's. So that's all about.
I would be, will it be like how many, 200 years of collective experience in this room? Easily. So yours will be what, 35, 40 years? 35, okay. So I mean, I don't think I'll be very wrong in that estimate. Yeah. 250. Wow. Cool. Krishna, all yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming in here. Lots of faces from Dr. Reddy's. I would give my glimpse as well, contributing to Dr. Reddy's Lighthouse and whatever digitization what I have done. So, I've been an execution engineer with Rockwell for a decade now, and now I'm working as an industry consultant for life sciences specifically, and been with Dr. Reddy's back in 2012, where Rockwell and Dr. Reddy's worked really hard on integrating the CTO-SEZ plan for the API digitization entirely from DCS and MES, and we still take proud to say that it's working well without any issues, and been part of it, been on the field and worked really hard on that. So I just wanted to say that, and it's a great feeling, and that has given a lot of experience moving forward in my career, and been with Rockwell for a decade now, and overall 20 years of experience. I'll quickly run through a very few things what Rockwell has been doing in terms of life science industry, where are we investing, what are we doing today, and then I'll play a 5 minutes clip. We cannot disclose the name of the customer over here, but this is a at the initial stage, so we can't disclose it. And that would give an overall journey how that CDMO could actually transfer the entire recipes from paper, which is coming from the drug discovery stage, to the control or to the manufacturing layer. So it is a 5 minutes video. There will be no audio to it, but I'll try to walk you through with that 5 minutes video, right? So overall, Rockwell, overall our strategy has been connecting the enterprise to life. What we mean to say is that, we have been transforming the industry through our digital softwares and the solutions. And we believe that, it's not only about the technology, it's all about the people. That's what the Industry 4.0 always says, right? And we have been trying to solve the problem. I don't think that anyone can claim that we have solved the entire problem, but we've been trying to put together a lot of things to and technologies together to solve these issues. Now, quickly coming to and when we're doing so, we are trying to identify the key problems, what the traditional players are, the India being a generic market, what are the key challenges the customer facing, and that becomes our key investment strategy towards the product or the people for Rockwell. So we're targeting few things, and this is what you will be seeing in that 5 minute script. So that set the stage or the context for it. So we're talking about expediting the drug approvals, right? And when we talk about that, how do we integrate the R&D or the initial work which is done during the drug discovery stage? Then we're talking about the flex factory today. It's still a concept. We believe that it has not completely, Pharma is still working towards the lights out factory kind of a concept, right? But still, there's a need for flex factory when the entire industry, especially in India, is moving from the small molecules to more complex manufacturing today, or for the large molecules. At the same time, the workforce shortage. Now, as we know, a lot of Dr. Reddy's people, and you have led that lighthouse and the digital initiatives. I don't think that, everybody can afford that kind of workforce. The workforce today in this room itself is huge, right? But getting that experience today in the factory floor, that's a huge gap. People either are completely IT or they don't have the manufacturing background. So we try to, bridge that gap with the solutions, and definitely the regulatory compliance part to it. Now, very quickly, these are the challenges which we are trying to address, and that will what it will showcase in the 5 minutes video. Then when it comes to Rockwell India, globally, we are a 120 years old company. We have been in India for more than 40 years and been associated with all the big names in pharma in India. And if you see that we have done 8.3 billion US dollars business in 2024, and we have been present in more than 100 countries. India being the next country who is employing more engineers outside Rockwell, outside the Milwaukee office, which is there in US. And the highlighted boxes practically shows about, I'll just use the laser, I forgot to use that. Yeah, and these are the boxes. So all the COEs or the Center of Excellence, what we deliver, the global solutions are based out of India, and Dilip heads them all. Coming to quickly to the brands, what we own. We are still known with Allen Bradley. A lot of people might have been knowing that, and they have our installations. FactoryTalk is our software suite of solutions, which actually bridges the gap in the enterprise layer. And the lifecycle services is, our delivery arm. And what you see at the bottom, we are not only serving pharma, but we are serving across industries. Now, in order to do all this, we have been doing a lot of work in the background. That's a overall strategy from Rockwell. So we have started a lot of acquisitions since 2016, FY 2016. And, in today's world, we can't do everything. Previously we were known only for manufacturing. Now we're connecting all the dots throughout the manufacturing layers, especially in the L5 layer or the L4 layers. We are not saying we have the solutions, but still, in order to connect all those things, we need specialized information, specialized people. So that's where we are, investing a lot. So if you see, I have called out specifically two names up here, which is the QBD Vision and Data House. So the QBD Vision is a company which actually enables digital CMC. What we see is chemical manufacturing and control. So they bring it all together in one single platform, right? So and you will see how QBD can do it in the 5 minutes video. Data How is a group of people based out of Austin in Texas, and these people are specifically targeting the biotech industry. Now, these are the complex molecules which are coming in for CDMO businesses in India. They have pre-built and they are enabling this drug discovery and when I say about drug discovery, Tushar is here, so I think that's one point which I would really want to discuss with him. Data How enables that entire digital CMC journey over there. So these are the few, and these are our strategic partners. When we say that these are Microsoft and you name it, AWS, all our solutions are based upon this. And Rockwell believes on the approach, this is our approach for the life sciences. When we say that we are born at the device, all the data which is coming in, generating in the manufacturing flow, we have seen some digital journeys being failed because there is no contextualization of data at all, right? So it's just a dump of data which is getting, we're just dumping it in the cloud. So what we say is that the whole data which is, getting born at the manufacturing flow, get transformed on this layer, which is on the L2, L3 layer, and post that, we aggregate that to the solution where, you can actually do your configuration or remote configuration somewhere else, right? So we are, Pharma being very not too comfortable with the cloud technologies, but there is a adoption to it. So we have already enabled that, so you can actually deploy your HMI solution or even your DCS from somewhere sitting on a separate geographical location altogether. So that's the contextualization of the data or our approach from edge to cloud. Now, before I run this video, because I really wanted you guys to speak rather than me taking a lot of time. So this video practically gives an example of closed loop digital twin, which actually works from process development to the primary production. And these are the partners, or these are the solutions which are enabled over here. So we have partnered with Microsoft to enable that on the cloud. QBD Vision and the Data How, these are the latest investments, and ANSYS is used for bringing the digital twin in terms of physical properties of the agitator and everything. So it is not only the data which is coming from the manufacturing flow, but we are also adding the physics layer to it. So I'll just play it and I'll just try to see if this get played right over here, or I can just pull up the video, which is much easier for me to pause in case you have any questions. I'll just stop the presentation, which will be much easier to do. So here is the one, what we are doing, so that we set the context to it. As I said, we cannot disclose the name. So what we are trying to do over here is to get the papers which are there on the R&D or during the drug discovery stage, converting that everything using the QBD solution, which will use the OCR technology to read all those paper inputs and convert it into a recipe extraction, or it will convert into a recipe which is understandable by the manufacturing floor, right? And that would lead to a generalized recipe or a site-specific recipe, which you could see practically on this layer up here, right? So these are our, a parent company, or let's say take the name of Pfizer's of the world, who are actually sending their drug to be manufactured in India for CDMO. That's the papers which they have. They can create that recipe right away, and that could be given to any sites. Here we are trying to see the fit gap analysis, whether the facility is practically capable of handling that or making that product. So we have not integrated the demand and everything, but we have highlighted especially for the asset management. And that will give us the definition of the CQAs and the CPPs over there. And this is the data aggregation layer where the Rockwell solutions plus the Microsoft one comes into picture, where we get the manufacturing flow data. The virtual batch optimization, this is where this digital twin comes into play. ANSYS is the one for the digital twin for giving the physical properties of the agitator, for example, which will be shown in the video. And this hybrid model, and this is where the actual manufacturing floor is. So emulate 3D, and what you see factory talk over here, that's the core which is running on the production flow. And this is a closed loop where you see that all the CPPs and CQAs are fed back to this model so that it could be more realistic and you can do it in a better way. And that all without running the actual production on the site. So I'll just play the video and let me know if it really catches your mind, and if you have any questions, I'll pause there. So this is what we are doing. This is all we are doing. Digital recipe automation, constraints integration for the fit gap analysis for the facility. And constraint integration was more of from the ERP and enterprise level software. And thereafter the fit scale, virtual batch optimization and process monitoring for the feedback loop. So I'll just play the video and then probably, we'll just talk to it. These are the papers which are getting in, which will be converted to a file which is more understandable by anyone on the manufacturing floor. This is where we actually move on to the integration part of it, where we get the information from the demand and the supply chain, and also from the asset capabilities. For example, how much is the capability of the reactor? How much is the KLs for that? So that gets integrated to this part, and this is what it will throw as a result. Same for the fitment.
List of equipment.
Sorry, sir.
How do you do the fit gap here? Whether you'll have a complete
List of equipments from the same paper which we have got it, right? And plus the ERP integration, the ERP will have the data, which are the master data which is available on site.
For example, you got it from some of the CDMO
Yes,
client.
yes.
Now I have a list of equipments, right?
Yeah.
So whether you will do the whatever the availability of equipment with that, it will get into a fit gap analysis, or it will give you the ideal equipment to.
No, it will with the available list of equipments which are there actually on the facility.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is where the modeling actually goes to one more step further, where it will actually take the physical properties of the vessel or the agitator which is actually working into consideration of the model, which we call it as a hybrid model, which actually changes the game, not only the manufacturing flow data.
Then we need to feed in a lot of data.
Feed in a lot of information, at least for the emulate or this part of it, where we actually get that information. Thank you.
So how do you take care? Typically, the CDMO is more about the projects. So you have to take multiple batches.
Yes.
And you have to go and feedback whatever the development package which has been given to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't work as expected. Somebody works on the keep on development, and then you go and take the pilot batch, then again come back and start doing it.
Yes.
So if it is a product scenario, which I see is very, very perfect. Once time you set it up, and then
it goes forever.
But CDMO is a very different game altogether.
Yes.
So how is it getting solved? Because I see this a big challenge, because I have to just make it, let's say, only 10 kg, and for the 10 kg, the game is very different, right? You setting it up and making this work.
Yes.
And then you sometimes do 2 batches, 3 batches.
Yeah.
Recalibrate.
So this solution actually, if you see on the virtual batch optimization, it actually conducts that simulation and emulation of that entire process on that emulate 3D.
And CDMO will start with once you have a tech pack, which is proven, then it will start.
Correct. So that is CMO, but so typically,
no, even for a development, the R&D team will develop a
correct
tech
but
pack.
when it goes once it goes for a pilot batch, then again it goes. Sometimes I see there is a challenge. Then they again start looking at it, why on the size, and that's what I was looking at. Digital twin will try to address it.
Yes.
Whether the parameters will be out of specifications will happen or not.
It's coming up in the next few minutes, or rather say 30 seconds from now.
I understand that you are looking at the same commercial scale facilities taking the pilot batch of small scale. Or you have a pilot separate.
Pilot is separate.
Within the R&D.
No, so we have our R&D. Then there is a pilot batch where you, and then there is a full scale, whatever, bigger reactors basically.
So it will remain within the R&D. Because R&D, the architecture has to be in a similar fashion that when you tweak some process, that will be adjusted to that.
Yes, and you will see that in the next part of the video.
Okay. Just to add to that.
Sorry.
So the way it happens is.
Yep. Sure. Yes.
Just quickly, 10 seconds. So that's where this is actually simulation comes in handy, Himanshu. The way it is, so we can analyze what if scenarios. Let's say the scale is when the scale is changing.
when we are doing simulation, we can actually without taking batch, we can do what if scenarios, what if analysis, and we can fine tune parameters accordingly. That's the benefit actually.
His concern is different. We'll discuss later because I understand his pain. So that's different. Thanks.
But this is where we are just simulating in heater control. It's not a actual bioreactor where we actually do something, but we have given that context saying that the emulation gets connected to the actual PLC, which is going to work on the real equipment, and that gets tied up. So that is probably, you were looking for. So that actually comes at the end of the video. And you will see that happening over here as well in the real-time scenario. I'll just quickly move to the part where, this is the part where it actually connects to the manufacturing layer, which is the PLC or the DCS, which is working on there. And it gets added to these particular tags. So this is where you actually tie the entire loop back in.
And how much time it took to set it up in the CDMO?
Well, I don't have that particular, it's not an entire facility. As you see, it is a part of it.
No.
The initial part, what you see, that's an AI engine. So that would probably take some time, a week times or so, because that would require some tweaking based upon the templates, what you have, or the format, what we have. And you can tie back the emulate 3D output back to the PLC and see it in a virtualized environment for that. I'll just quickly, this is more of a tie-up, right? What we are doing up here. So this is the emulate 3D, and this is the values which gets tied up with the emulate 3D. That's a seamless integration. I'll just jump to the video because Vikas wanted me to wrap it up quickly. Yeah, but that the question. So I'm proud that we were asked questions about it. So yeah, this is the part where it actually ties up completely, and this is where the AI process model, because today is all about AI, what we are talking about. So the QBD vision actually take care of all this transition, and then Rockwell or the Rockwell solutions practically help us to get this all set point optimization back to the feedback loop and help you with the root cause analysis. That's all from my end. I think that sets a context more than enough, and I've taken more time. Sorry about it, but I love the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. So while you were going into the plumbing, the depths of manufacturing, one thing was very clear in my mind. Thank God I'm not in this industry. I wouldn't be able to handle that complexity, but let's start here. Again, this is again a very big challenge, and for the benefit of the best coverage out of this and quality, I'd again request politely, though it's a very difficult task, to keep the responses or the questions short so that we cover. Now I'll come to the challenge now. There are some 9-10 discussion topics, and we are here about 10 people minus the two of us. So, and we have 1 hour. So that probably will be another challenge to face. Think of a US FDA asking you to do some work within a very stipulated, limited time, and you have to do it, or you get a warning letter. So, all right, cool. So, just to start, I think I'll skip the geopolitical landscape because it keeps changing depending on what Trump thinks on a particular day. So we'll go directly to the digital adoption side and the headwinds and maturity levels. Who do you think we should start with? Venkat, uh, you've been cracking problems for a long time, and the digital transformation side probably fits you best. So why don't you take it away? We have very limited time, so keep it short, crisp. Show the beauty of the language. Thank you.
So you would like to understand where we stand?
Yes, and then as I said, kind of sets the context also.
Okay. I think the digitalization of the pharma industry has already begun well. And since maybe half to three-fourths of a decade ago. And now it is in the log phase of growth. Initially, it was in the beginning, it was slow. Only some companies which were capable or ready to take the risk of spending on it, investing on it, had started. But I think more and more people are seeing the benefits of MES. People, even more than the MES, people have seen the benefits of LIMS already. So manufacturing and the testing, both parts are getting linked now. Even the MSMEs are more likely to spend for the MESs now. And I think it's working in tandem. Even the MES providers, like we are sitting here also with a very major provider. So all of them are also bringing it more affordable to the MSMEs, and therefore there is adoption. At the same time, the heat is on from the regulators that more and more of ALCOA violations, data integrity issues, and all that, apart from the geopolitical compulsions that they may have, and therefore much more the need for going digital. And therefore, it has got into that accelerated phase. What I see a little bit lacking is, first of all, our education system, where we are having B pharmacies, M pharmacies, and of course, unless the companies take BTech, computer science, etc. But again, there the marrying between the two is a little more difficult. But the pharmacy education in industrial pharmacy, etc., is not yet talking so much about digital. That is something that will have to come in very quickly. And why I'm saying is this: while I might have grayed my hair, working through the operations through so many decades, but the learning curve of the young guys today is much sharper. And therefore, if they can get along with the operational requirements as well as the digital requirements, they are the best solution providers for us. And therefore, that has to match with the speed at which the industry is going. And very soon we will find that the data integrity, etc., will vanish, because there will be no more human involvement in the documentations, in the decisions that are made about a product that is made, a batch that is made, etc., etc. So I am seeing it as a little refinement in the industry, if I can say. If I take, let's say, 10 years ago, how many batches were made versus how many batches used to fail, gross total of the whole country, now it has drastically reduced from there, due to scientific advancements as well as due to digital advancements. If I speak of the R&D space, where there is basic R&D, etc., even there it has become very fast, because what I have even studied, structure activity relationship in medicinal chemistry. All that used to take a long time, which is now becoming much faster using digital twins and other such technologies. Therefore, the entire thing has become fast. As we say in the VUCA world, the speed at which things are done has phenomenally increased. It has gone through maybe 30 to 40% depth in the industry. If I take the whole as 100%, very soon we should be seeing more of that. For those who are managing the industry very successfully so far and need to continue, there is a change in their capability. So it's about reskilling, which is a must. So I see reskilling as a major paradigm that needs to be given importance in the industry, and I see reverse mentoring as another piece which needs also a lot of pushing, because as I said, the wisdom of the experienced people in the industry, with the science and the manufacturing, testing, development, all of it, plus the capability in digital. The capability in digital, my son can teach me much more than me teaching him. I cannot teach him anything. Zero. I mean, when I say son, it may be my biological son or my juniors in the company. So reverse mentoring is also a must. While we do all that, either we find a way of taking the best from the lots from the digital world and from the pharmaceutical wisdom together through teams or likewise other things. This is an important part. What I am experiencing recently is also about something that has happened in the automotive and FMCG industry in the past several decades. Unfortunately, has not touched the pharma industry, at least in India, and that is about operational excellence in terms of the NVAs, the non-value addition activities that we do, and the more we dig into that, the more we find that there are many more, and therefore the way you can get into a lean way of manufacturing is something that the pharma industry is only recently seeing. It has been there in the automotive and in the FMCG for long, and that's a new piece that also needs to be. All of it coming together is what will be the tomorrow of pharma industry. It's not one stream of capability. Digital, of course, is a big one, and therefore, it's a little unknown animal for most of the people who have been traditionally who have grown into the industry, and therefore a lot of training and etc. that is required around that.
Wonderful.
That's where we stand.
Superb. This couldn't have been described better. Thank you so much. Right. So you touched upon a lot of points here, of which I think I'll touch upon the documentation bit little, because Biren put it in his point in our discussions when we were preparing about overload of documentation and being unsure about exactly how do they assimilate and work seamlessly. You want to take it ahead?
So what I see in pharma is that the hygiene factor has been addressed. For example, the implementation of ETMR and everything. Okay, that is a basic level. I think many people are not even at the basic level. To be honest with you, we are still not in the basic level. We are just gravitating towards the basic level. People have used all the natural languages, NLP and RAG, I would say, contextual searching, so that they can actually optimize not only the EBMR but the kappa implementation as well. The kappas are now being structured in a way that it makes very logical flow using a contextual search. Many of the places I am seeing in the documentation, document itself has lots of challenges in terms of semantics and logical flows. So the people who are writing those documents are feeding those documents into this AI engine, which are contextual in nature, and getting it sanitized. So it is the sanitization as well as I would say the review is very much structured now. I think hygiene is one. We are gravitating towards better than hygiene in the years to come. This is my say.
Wonderful. Perfect. Cool. So, any other thoughts on this particular topic about digital adoption and maturity levels? So, you want to say something?
Yeah, I would like to add a couple of things.
Oh, please go ahead, Himanshu.
So I see that as of today, though this digital has been adopted by several pharmaceutical companies, they have been already on this journey, matured, and then going to the next level. But as rightly Virender had put it across, that the basic is also missing. And I see this is one apprehension always come from the team who are really running the operations on the ground. They have been very apprehensive that they say that if it is MRPs automatic running, I'm talking about CDMO, then there is a fear always, what if my BOM is changing? Then I do not need to be dependent on that. I want to have a control on me. And I see that they have a basic calculator and they put it calculations, all of them. They say, no, I don't rely it. That is the reality, because they say at the end of the day, I am the one who is accountable for the delivery and I have to deliver this on time. So whatever can make me flexible, I will continue to do that. So this is the one barrier, and people have been successful because of that. They had certain skills how to win the game, and they would like to continue with that skill. So for us, I think as a change leader and also driving the digital, I see this is one area, how do we influence, show them success story. So certain places I see that the organization which are on the journey, which would like to achieve very fast, they go through a challenge, while support from everywhere is there. But I see on the ground, unless until somebody is there to make it successful, it doesn't happen. So this is still, I see the challenge people are having, while in personal life they are using Amazon, Flipkart, whatever, all kind of automation. But when it comes to the work, they say, this is what has made me successful, I will continue to do this.
That's a very strong resistance that you get
Yeah.
from the shop floor. Yeah. Of
I
course,
think
Sajid.
also means I think all of you are probably coming from industries which are little further up the value chain when it comes to the pharma industry. But going to the API company, I think one thing is on demonstrating the effectiveness of the ROI compared to for a cash staff company being able to demonstrate that investing in this is better than investing, say, in R&D or in increasing my portfolio, right? I think that is something which has been a struggle. I think we have tried this for the last 10 years, and being able to the IT team and being able to demonstrate the effectiveness is one thing. I think you always take up a pilot and the pilot cannot scale. And the other thing which has been key is the people issue, and the fact that you have people in say in R&D who probably haven't used laptops. They do most of the work in notebooks, and for
That's
them
still-
to adapt to AI is a big question. And I think for us, unless you are able to do it in the lab, there's no question of going into manufacturing too. And I think that is too something which has to be addressed.
Absolutely. No, and this is so important because we've seen people actually having a very strong opposition. Why do we want to invest here? Is there enough ROI? I thought that problem probably has been behind us, but it's still there. So that shows that's very tough. In fact, over and over again, US FDA representations have always said that, the cost of compliance is far lesser than the cost of failures of, inspections.
I
Yeah.
have little different opinion here.
Okay.
Especially, I'm in the CDMO industry for almost 10 to 12 years. So I've
Sure.
seen both generics as well as in CDMO.
Right.
But usually, if you see the business model of CDMO, it's like who are the clients comes for an audit or a visit. They look at our facilities as an extension of their unit.
Right.
So the standards, what they expect is it has to be a fully digital. It has to be fully automated, and so then they get the confidence on us. And very unfortunate thing is, so far in India, we never launched any NCE API from India. So still they look us as a intermediate supplier
Company.
or an advanced intermediate.
Yeah.
Very few, I don't want to name the company, very few have been successful in doing it, and that is
True.
also very, very limited.
Absolutely.
So still they have kind of confidence level, I would say it's very low, especially on the capability side. The most one of the important point is the data integrity, the QMS. If they give for example, they're dependent on our supply chain. If there is anything happens within FDA, then the entire their supply chain is at risk. So we really all the CDMO like Arjun, Sai, there are a lot of companies. We heavily invested on the automation and digital, and we are almost, I would say, we are at par with European sites or US sites. That's where the CDMO industries are really going maybe one level up to. Otherwise, you will not be in the business.
Yeah, because you have a audit coming every
Yeah,
single week, maybe. Right. Okay.
So yesterday I was also discussing with one of our clients, and
Right.
we asked him, how do you choose
Yeah.
supplier?
Yeah.
So he was telling, you are a medium scale company, you have an automated, you have a closed transfer system.
Mm.
We also seen a very large volume block. Then I asked him, what is your selection criteria? So
Right.
he said, rather than having a large volume block, I would rather
Have a-
prefer automated plant, having a complete closed transfer system. That's what
Lower the risks. For
yeah.
them. Right. Dr. Rao.
Please,
Maybe- yeah.
please go on.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think most of the industries which have adopted digitalization in India are mostly out of compulsion rather than because of voluntary way of really transforming the industry. This is my experience. Some of the industries can be excluded from here.
Yeah.
So it's not a complete statement, but it is most of the time. It is US FDA,
Yeah.
which is actually the entire quality. If you are really putting up into the digital, what Alcoa you are talking about, I think every industry, for example, the CDMO industry being digital is not because they want to be digital, because the customer wants.
Clients want.
So the entire drive is coming out of a compulsion of either losing a business, or there is a threat to the business. So I think the barrier is at the leadership level, in my opinion. Okay, I'm making a very different statement out here, but the compulsiveness driving the outcomes is natural. There is no brainer there. Okay, you have to do it. So, for example, quality started almost 10-15 years ago, and then you have LIMS. Prior to LIMS, there was something else, and then now you want everything to be analyzed. And I have seen those days where it was a manual quality control all the way to the latest. So, I think this is the biggest barrier in the industry today, that compulsiveness driving the digitalization. Now, it is important. So there has to be a starting point for everything. So there is a starting point. But beyond that, I think the leadership should not be looking at, I like the point what Sajeev has made. Most of the time we look at the return on investment. And the digitalization, when it is done, most of the people who come to make the proposals are very siloed in terms of a specific area that is to be addressed, rather than looking at a top line improvement or a bottom line improvement. So there has to be a shift in the way the thought process need to go in the industry, that I am coming to you to improve your top line or to improve your bottom line. Okay. Actually, the negative way we started, because you are forcing to improve your top line by putting digital. Because US FDA wants it. If you do it, then your top line goes up, your bottom line goes up. This is one point I want to make. Second is this pilot paralysis. So I call this as a pilot paralysis, because everything you want to do a pilot. So it's good to do a pilot, but then this becomes a paralysis in the organization, and everybody has a view on the pilot results. Okay, so at the end, this becomes a big challenge for people to take it forward, and years will pass by. The last point I want to make on this particular topic on the mindset issue is that, are we clear on what is the problem that we are addressing? So these problems are always defined by your auditor, your customer, the regulatory agency. As leadership, if you want to transform the organization, are we clear about what is it that we want to address? I think unless that question is asked, and the solution providers are bringing that solution to the doorstep of the people who are sitting here, I think it's always a challenge to really digitalize the industry to the level what we are talking about.
Yep, absolutely. You hit all the right points, sir. You're not going anywhere. Maybe after granules, there is a lot of life left. So.
Just to add to, how do we measure digital maturity? Right? Of course, business angles is what team has spoken. Now, how do we measure digital maturity? Right. So there are, of course, many frameworks available. However, I would say most close or related, or let's say close to industries, let's say ISP, Pharma 4.0 digital maturity framework. So that's what is more relevant for us, is what I feel. Right. Which talks about, let's say, initial, developmental, defined, managed, and optimized. So, and then various three specific parameters, or I would say how business process is improving. That's one of the key criteria. The various metrics on each business processes. Second is how our digital infrastructure is actually improving. That's the second criteria, because that's what both need to go together. And the third is how data governance process, right? So let's say whatever we discussed, etc. If we need to do, data is actually becoming the oil, right? And the final one, the optimized one, becoming, I think probably what our team has demonstrated, the closed loop, where the process is able to learn from the data online, real time, and able to manufacture without touches, right? And with a closed loop manner. That's the final the output, and that's where real process maturity we are able to do with online controls at real time, and able to do batch release without finished product testing, real time, the real time testing is what is called as. So that's the final maturity level we need to reach.
Here just people have touched about technology, people have touched about investment and ROE, but both these things are run by human, which Venkat says there is a resistance, that the discussion has come on the resistance. Now, my experience with the lowest level of the workforce, which is the front line, has been tremendous in a goodwill. Like we walk in a dark, we fear whomsoever he may be. If he walk too dark in alone, he fears. But if he has somebody with him, it's little better. So the only challenge is that people need to be trained, make them aware. They are not afraid of technology of the smartphones, but they are afraid of technology of MRP. Now, I tell you that 2001, at some company, we were implementing the BAN ERP system, where we started with monthly once ERP run, and then it was running every 8 hours. So the bomb changes every 8 hours, it runs. It hardly makes any difference. So that kind of the feedback loop for the human mind, which is neural networks, you all say, has to come in. And then all adoptions and all everything is there. Earlier, what used to be that GPUs were very at NASA, at Param computers, but now GPUs are everywhere. And that's everything is making faster. Adoption is making faster, knowledge is, transmission is getting faster. So basically, human aspect, the first one, is needed to be taken care.
Sure. Yeah, maybe just
Tushar,
to close, because
you
I'm
were the last
who's
one
left.
who hasn't
Yeah,
spoken yet.
I just
So the
was
youngest,
listening.
youngest one has the last word.
Thank you so much for considering me young. He is the youngest. And sorry, he is the youngest. All right. So I think while I heard everyone, most important thing is business. There's a price erosion happening out there, 5%, 10% every year on year. Secondly, I think talking about CRDMOs, there has been a new act by the US called Biosecure.
Yes.
And all of us were expecting that the China plus one strategy will start kicking in. It has not shown. Yeah, it is as it is. Even the biotech funding has also come down, right? So where is the money? First of all, right? That's the first question which the CEO asks, the board asks us. If at all I'm investing now, talking about ROI, the conversation in the boardroom is around, if I'm investing a couple of crores in a system, what is that it is going to yield me back? And it is just not to please a customer. Mr. Ramarao rightly said, it's not just to please a customer, it's also for productivity. Now, at a systemic level, I think the way we should monitor the metrics, 4 metrics which we should monitor. One is the timeline, the implementation metric. Second is the adoption metric. Third is the success metric. Fourth is the outcome metric. Yeah, and you should read it other way around. What is the outcome? Whether it is impacting top line, bottom line, or people going out. Whether it is happening or not. If not happening, don't touch the use case. Absolutely. As simple as that. Success. Now, how many reactions I'm doing per square feet? Per maybe how many reactions I'm doing per scientist per month? How much am I actually using this property to make money from at a square feet level? Yeah. And it is that CRDMO business, CRO business specifically is like you grow as you put more fume hoods, you get more business, right? It's a very linear model. It's not exponential at all. We have tried it multiple ways, but yeah, it's not that simple. So the way we look at outcome, then success, adoption, and implementation. So it should be read the other way around. I think the way we look at the industry today is like I'm implementing MES. I'll be making sure that all my plants are adopting by FY 26, 27, whatever. The success is so and so. Outcome, maybe people will go out. Maybe it will impact my bottom line. I don't know. Right. So the way we expect the partners also to come into from the ecosystem is other way around. That, hey, look, this is what I am going to create an impact on your bottom line. Right. This is the success metric I will track to make sure the bottom line is met. Right. And this is the adoption timeline. This is what is the implementation date. Then the way our conversations with our board is also more attuned to the business language, because money is not there. Right. While everyone, big companies like Dr. Reddy's and Granules can afford, but not every company can afford a digital system. And the error, by the way success is driven, there is no chance of failure. If I implement a system of 1 crore, there's no chance it can fail. It has to be successful in a smaller company, right? CRDMOs in India are in that same space. We are not the Charles River of the world. We are not the Bushies of the world yet. Bushi is a $6 billion company, right? Much bigger. So I think that scale which we are looking at should talk ROI, should talk business. Then only it becomes easier for anyone in this room to talk to our board and get the money sponsored for the project.
The proof of concept.
Just a minute, I'll ask one. I slightly disagree with him in one part. I think the industry is now at maybe closer to a tipping point between is going digital a luxury or is it necessity driven? Very nice point that he brought up. Or is it becoming a basic must? I'm sure many of us may be knowing that Cano model, right? Like the automatic transmission in cars used to be a luxury about, let's say, 10 years ago. And now slowly, till maybe a few years ago, it became a performance requirement. And now it is a basic requirement, even small. The tubeless tire. I mean, I have ample examples. The mechanical ceiling fan regulator versus the electronic regulator. Each one of these examples that I gave are a more expensive one compared to the older one. But it has become the new basic.
Yeah.
If I don't provide an electronic fan regulator, if I'm a builder, I mean, nobody is going to accept it. Even my family wouldn't. Nobody would. Right? So the tipping point between is it any luxury anymore or is it something that is taken for granted must be there. I allude to Ram Kumar's talk also about his customers expecting that he should have it.
Yeah.
Maybe he's at a smaller scale.
Even if it is a smaller
but
one. Yeah.
you better have the digital controls is what is expected. So
Sure.
that is where the industry is. And I'm sure it is going to a place where, although it's more expensive, factor it into your costing is what the world is telling you.
Fantastic.
But do it.
Absolutely. Oh, wonderful. The first round was really good. So I quickly it almost covered everything. Absolutely. Yeah.
No, I think we have one request from request to Dilip. As he rightly said, the cost is really a barrier. Now, I was part of my smart manufacturing team from when I used to work for ESI. We did one manless pilot plant in Japan. The cost was around $150 million. Now, India also wanted to do it, but we are not able to afford. So maybe some kind of optimization. Suppose I want to have a digital factory in India, but the cost is really very, very high. How company like Rockwell can really support in optimizing it, make it in India? That really helped because all the pharma industry, they wanted to invest, and the pharma industry is really growing, especially CDMO. It's really growing. So that is one of the requests, how we can really try to optimize the cost so that all Indian company can get benefit out of it.
No, that's a very legit point. I completely agree with that, and we'll talk about this. Right.
So
No,
I just want to add to it. Actually, if you look at it, I think for an organization these days, they are ready to invest. And hence you see that there is a lot more companies are looking for digital and new solutions are available. I think for the leaders, what has become important that how do you develop that growth mindset and show that how do you get the ROI? Some places like investment.
That is the key. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that mindset shift, how do you bring in on the table? People are ready to invest. Like anybody, if you say that, yes, we are ready to invest, right?
Yeah.
And that's the reason a lot of VCs have got into this pharma and some of them we know, right? So this is something very game changer. Some places people have already started, like Dr. D started almost 15 years ago when the journey thing, then that is the only way we have to look at it, think something beyond and being leader like in that area. And where also the new leadership, they said, you have to think like a digital, people are driving the business. So manufacturing, let's say, instead of manufacturing head, Rajesh has to drive the business. That is how he has to think that how do I bring the value and how do I bring the OTIF to 95%, right? That's the only one KPI which he has to drive. Now do whatever you like. So something like this, I think this growth mindset has to come from the people and, popularize among the people, right? How do we make it work?
Right.
Second point, I think, is about the Rockwell. Of course, the only thing which I've learned, software price never goes down. That is the only truth. Yeah, everywhere the price goes down, but not software.
I'll quickly drive into the third point maybe here. All of this probably will get filtered and we'll have a conclusion. So compliance through digital infrastructure, and again the point that came from Biren, that the shop floor person actually is very comfortable doing what he has been doing for decades, resistance to change. So the final points here, adopters, their experiences. Is that barrier getting broken? Someone wants to take it up there. How we actually make it a compulsion rather than a choice? Any thoughts?
See, the most of the
And
challenge
a request
comes.
will be to keep the responses short,
Yeah.
so that a lot of it is to be covered. Thank
See,
you.
the challenge comes that I'm an operator. If I'm really felt comfortable, then I will definitely do it. Now, what happens is our infrastructures are very old. If you do it in a new greenfield project, we can definitely do it. The problem is when we try to implement something, we try to compromise because of the old infrastructure. So he will think that whether I'll be able to do it. If I'm not able to do this, the later I will get caught and I am accountable for that. That's where the resistance comes. So it's also we don't consider a lot of training during implementation phase. We just kept for a 3 months I'll implement, I'll immediately go live. So a lot of training part is missing, where each and every people should really understand what we built, how they have to operate. So I feel more training to be given to those people who operate it. My opinion, these two things are, I feel, it's a major issue for the resistance.
Is it better with the larger companies? I'll come to you, Biren. Yeah. Maybe Dr. Reddy's stands
Maybe
out here as.
I'll give a
Yeah, sure.
real
Yeah.
life answer. I think I'll go back to 2010.
Right.
And that's where we first started our manufacturing execution system implementation in one of the site where Venkat was head FTO3, largest site, and then we started with dispensing. Right. So we implemented a month over. Then I just went and spoke to the dispensing guy. What's the experience looks like, right? So the first answer, the overall answer is now I am able to sleep peacefully when I go home.
This is a big problem.
That's where the acceptance, right? No, why, right? What is happening? Because in the previous world, a lot of mistakes used to happen, incidents, a lot of questioning, investigation, right? Why all these things are happening, etc. So now, no mistakes, mistake proofing, right? Because system is acting as checker as the execution is happening, right? And system is preventing from mistakes to happen. So that's where, right? That's where the peace of mind for people, the actual executors, that is coming in. Now coming to one more example at leadership level, like site leadership or QA head, quality head level, etc. Of course, we initially we don't trust digital systems, right? So we'll say we'll run parallelly, a parallel batch record, paper batch record, or then along with the first batch, etc. Let's do for 10 batches. We'll write protocol and then we'll see how this is going. So that's how typical initial mindsets, etc. That I'm taking again saying 12 years back, when we end-to-end implementation when we did. So first batch we run with this protocol, parallel, the paper record and digital. After first batch, I'm getting a response. We'll stop paper. We'll stop paper. We'll change the protocol. Why? What happened? No. So paper is getting written after the batch is over, because we are real time. We are executing. Real time is in system, and that is the primary data. Now paper is no more relevant. So that's the experience with leadership also gone through. That's a travel, right? So this is how everyone's life is able to change, starting from operator to leadership is what I was saying.
One small addition to that.
Sure.
So as you said, there is always a fear of failure. So if we allow, as managers and leaders, if we allow failures to happen and let people know that there is nothing wrong in a learning environment, that there can be failures, that encourages people. Another trick that help, not trick, a way to do, help that everyone in the hierarchy is learning. You are learning what you need to know. This guy is learning what at his level he needs to know. The CEO is learning at his level what he needs to know about digitalization. So there is enough of training going on at different levels for whatever. So everyone is learning.
Yeah.
So even if I do a mistake, fine, I can be part. Likewise, you do it for others. That makes learning much easier. Of course, you have to make it a little interesting. You have to reward it also.
Right.
That helps.
Right. Biren, how do you want to handle that situation? You mentioned about
Yeah. So the way I look at it, see, digital is something that perception is very different. For example, for me at the leadership, I know the risk of compliance. I know the risk of batch failure. I know the cost of batch failures. So my thought process is in that direction, and I want to use digital to solve the problem. But what is the solution that digital is providing to the ground level, guys?
Exactly.
So the one thing that I have enumerated with the people who are doing the groundwork, that look, there is nothing you have to write. Okay, you want to see the data. They were doubting one of the batch failures. They were doubting the pressure. The temperature in FBT was not up to the mark. They were going all over the place and couldn't find it. He just took the trial and said the temperature actually was not met. They were so happy. Yes, we found the reason. So you have to formulate the digital benefit realization for the people whom they are actually working. So they will not understand cost advantage. They will not understand the compliance.
Those are beyond their...
They are beyond their comprehension. You have not taught them. So if you just enumerate the advantages of benefit realization across the hierarchy, which I think Venkat was also alluding to, Dr. Ramarao was also saying, it's a top-down approach, but benefit realization could be catered to the people you are addressing.
Absolutely.
If you do this, I think adoption is very fast.
Make it easier.
Yeah. They will say it's solving my purpose. Why adoption is very high on the QMS side? Because the people have seen the advantages. They were writing documents, lots of semantic errors, lots of logical flaws. The moment they started using RAG plus LSTM, all those models, all done. They don't have to do anything. It's so logically written. They said, oh, it's my language. No, it's written by you, but it's already corrected. They were, I would say, almost astonished.
Does it also impact the fear of audits? Because I've always heard that the moment you hear 4 or 5 names, I won't say here, those names kind of give them the shivers.
So the audit fear is normally the people at the shop floor will not fretter, okay? They will only come from the top. The top fear the audit more because the implications, they know it's very different, okay? So they will be pushed from the top leader, but if you sanitize the bottom layer this way, the way I'm actually enumerating, it also percolates to the top layer because they are seeing the benefit. If the ground level is with you, I think you're fine.
Absolutely.
You will see the culture is already there. It's a change of culture.
Yeah.
So we are bringing those culture. It takes time. As he said, Dr. Ramarao, that it's top-driven approach, but the culture change has to happen from the ground root.
Absolutely. And that exactly is going to be driving the zero data integrity issues. And that will be a day to watch.
So define what's in it for me.
Exactly. That's the whole idea.
Answer those questions and you're done.
I've heard companies doing all kinds of things to get people involved, gamification, giving them rewards, do whatever, but, don't fear this lack of compliance issues. Just be on it. So, yeah. And that should be, like a long journey.
I'll give you one example.
Yeah.
We were doing few batches, actual batches with a manual record, but equipment were capturing so many data. Now, in a testing in QC, about 12 batches showing failure. The production people who were knowing this particular, the all automated data or the digital data, they said it can't fail. They did the data 6 Sigma analysis and they thrown it that look, my data says it is a 6 Sigma analysis, is meeting 6 Sigma level. It can't fail. That basically convinced the testing the people to look for their error. And finally, all those batches were good batches where because of some variation in testing were failing. So if your data also supports you even to release the batches, just not only to find the root cause or something else. So many ways data can be used. The only thing is that the people needs to be educated how to use it, how to be frank.
Wonderful. I think we are probably about halfway into the discussion. Any coffee, tea, probably we can get them on the table before it becomes too intense. Right. Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. Are you going to be back? Okay, cool. Right. Sure. So now the next one is probably very, very close to all of us about cybersecurity in pharma. We've seen so many breaches happening, and that again is a the more you actually build barriers, the more it gets broken. And people are really, really smart here. So I don't know, it's happened in the diagnostic sector, it's happened in pharma. I don't know, they have not disclosed how many crores they have lost in this. But how do you kind of tame that big animal? Any thoughts on this?
I cannot comment much on that. There are more able colleagues of mine who can answer that. But cybersecurity in pharma. Pharma saves human lives.
Absolutely.
Cybersecurity saves the the digital life for everyone. Whether it's this phone or it is your systems or it is your machines, it's your cloud data, everything else. So that is something that needs equal importance as how pharma is for the human life. And I think initially there was not much importance given to that, and that's why there have been some huge cases with large companies also where there have been data breaches. But the technology part of it is for my other
Just a
colleagues to
show
talk
of hands, how many of you all have probably encountered a cyber issue and probably got saved? Any of you? You too, sir? Me too. So probably all of us have been impacted by this. I mean, I was very close to losing a lot of money, but thankfully something happened. So I got saved. So yeah, on the digital side, any thoughts on this?
Couple of things. I think first we have to look at it our personal side also, which we keep getting attacked. And believe me, this is, even though you see the person looks very smart, and people, they lose money, right? Because typically what happens, you get into that motion and then emotions, and then suddenly something goes out. It happened with me also. Okay. So, and then it comes to the professional, which is enterprise, which we talk about it. And when it goes to the OT life, especially into our manufacturing, and that's one of the very key area, people say, no, this partner, our partner has said that I will not upgrade this operating system, and people are still running old. And believe me, today in pharma, all the partners who are running in OT systems, they are much behind than what is required. And there is always a fight. When will you upgrade your system? This guy says, sorry, no, I still don't support it. And there is always back and forth is happening. And then we try to see that how to safeguard that. But nutshell is that security is very, very important. And organization has been continuously putting that efforts to make that work. Because even one identity, which is like one user ID password is compromised, that means you are able to go one by one.
Everything is gone. Is it in response or is it happening proactively? That's the question, because everywhere we see that, okay, something has happened, now we are going to be investing in this.
So actually, if you look at it, so many incidents has happened last 5 years, right? And then there is no choice actually. Because the kind of and especially CDMO business, there are some of them right? As soon as the name came that you are having a cyber attack, then you are gone, no business. And similarly, at least product organization can still survive this. We are responding and working, but this is a big challenge and threat when this comes to the whole security. So people have been putting upfront on that, and there is no compromise to it. Believe me.
Right.
In fact, every NDA, which in my organization goes to the very, very scrutiny NDA, even the partners who are getting engaged. And sometimes people say, why does it take so long? See, this is what it is, because we are dealing with the innovators' IPs.
Right. Any illustrations or examples where it probably led to real issues with the products or massive recalls where the data probably went completely haywire? Any such examples? Just to understand the magnitude of the problem, because we have very less visibility on exactly how badly companies have suffered. It doesn't show anywhere. So.
No one will tell.
No one will tell. Yeah. Wrapped in secrecy. Yeah, that's what I was wanting to prod.
I'll give you a non-pharma industry
please.
example, right?
Yeah.
So we had a client visiting us at our experience center, thinking that he's going to come and we're going to have a digital dialogue, right? And then the experience center also triggers conversations around what you said, protecting the digital life, right? And this gentleman, very senior executive, senior vice president, his face went totally blank. 5 minutes, we were demonstrating how does an OT side cyber incident occur, right? Yeah. And he turned around to the Rockwell, gentleman who had brought him into the experience center. He said, have these people visited here? Why are you bringing me here when they've not been here? It's like, it was a complete change of track of the conversation, and he said that just last month, there's a cement company, a very prominent Indian cement company. They'd had, I think he mentioned, was it 2 days that they could not invoice out of one of their major producing sites, right? And this is humongous. This happens, right? And this is very real. And my colleagues tell me, I mean, we hear from clients all the time, plant not being able to communicate to headquarters because someone got encrypted, and these things are happening. They don't get a lot of visibility for reasons that we understand, but they are happening more frequently than anyone understands.
Yeah. Oh, it is actually. It is like a gangrene happening we are not aware of. So it's very, and more I interact with people, I feel like, my God, this has already spread quite a lot, and nothing is being done.
Correct.
And honestly speaking, there are some helplines at a very consumer level, but no redressal of these issues.
And the profile of pharma industry in India, I mean, it's a global profile. So it is but natural that it's going to be targeted much more viciously than maybe any other sector.
It has been.
Absolutely. I think one important thing which all of us will agree is probably, what is the response plan?
Yes.
You get hit.
Exactly.
What is the
Then what do
response
you do?
plan? What do you do? What are my crown jewels which I should protect, right?
Absolutely.
The hacker is smart enough to understand where is your ADCs,
Exactly.
and how do I destroy the backup. No one can able to log into the system, and also they're very smart.
Yeah,
and that way they'll encrypt everything, and they will ask you to do maybe a good bounty or something.
That has happened.
Yeah, you have to pay bitcoins to get your data out and all. Of course, I think, but then at the end of the day, first of all, identifying crown jewels. That these are my crown jewels. I need to protect the first, right?
Right.
And wherever, like Himanshu was mentioning, that OT and IT layer security, how do you put a firewall in between?
Yes.
Just to make sure that this OT layer is secured some way or the other, right? And subsequently, what is the response plan?
Exactly.
Having a response plan is extremely important.
Yeah.
When you get hit in 3-4 hours, you're gone. Right. So what is the first level of response? How do you quarantine that particular VLAN set for that matter? Right. So I think that is something which we need to think about. Security is non-compromisable. We also spoke about, the CDMOs are having customer data. It's not our data. It's very IP confidential data. How do we keep it secure?
Oh my God.
It's extremely important. So most of the customers ask us, do you have ISO 27001? Do you have NIST framework and all? So all those things has to be there.
There will be a cybersecurity audit as well.
Yeah.
We go through that.
Wow. Think about
and the questions run 500 questions.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Sajeev, let data come in here.
So I think what I've seen at Newland, we are still small, and I think a lot of the things that we have tried to do we haven't really faced anything major, but at least from some of my colleagues who have managed operations at much bigger companies, I've known incidents where basically the main problem is even people identifying that this is a cyber threat, a plant being down for a few days, or because the initial 8 hours, 12 hours, the team on the plant thinking that this is just a local problem. And I think later this company figures out that it was actually someone, even without malintent, playing around, hacked into their, and they were able to get back. But the whole process took around 3-4 days at a plant for a big Indian company. So I think those are, of course, we don't get to hear
those things,
but I think just the people on the ground being trained and being able to identify those issues, and at many times I think what is also there is being able to ensure that you have a clear protocol when it comes to these issues, and everyone on the ground knows whom to call.
Exactly. In fact, I remember now, while we discussed this in Mumbai, there was a massive shutdown, power off, suddenly out of nowhere, about 3-4 hours. And no correlation exactly what went wrong, because there was no government, circular or anything that this is going to happen. It got correlated to some Chinese hackers.
Exactly. I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. So it could have massive ramifications, which we don't see. So,
I think there's a need to get out of the taboo
yeah,
that is associated with
yeah.
this. But then there is, if someone comes to my company has got, cyber attack, then the company's prices go down in the marketplace. So there's a lot of big economy attached to this, and therefore the taboo is, continuing to exist.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking, so the IP that pharma companies protect so much with all their, lawyers thrown in, what if something like this happens and, the data gets transferred to questionable parties? It's all out in the open. So, yeah.
So just coming back to pharma, maybe certain associations
Yeah.
should help, other companies who have not yet suffered.
Yeah.
To learn from those who have suffered, etc. Maybe for a fee or without a fee, but that might help. I mean, that's a very, I'm just thinking aloud.
It's a very valid
Something
point.
which can get that taboo thing out, like how we are talking about cancer.
See, the thing
This
is
is like
that
a
unless it's
fast-spreading
happened to
cancer.
me, it's not my problem. The
Yeah,
thing is
it
that
has not happened to me,
Yeah,
so.
so that's
But one day suddenly you find out that I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't eat
And I
this,
still
don't
have-
eat that, but still I have a cancer. Bola to, no, that's all gone. So then at least if I am a part of an association, somebody will tell me that, okay,
Sure.
fine, now you got it.
Right.
It's a reality.
Right.
Accept it. Next step, you please take this.
Yeah, sure.
I think if you really look at the enterprise risk management, this won't figure out in most of the companies as one of the risks.
It will not.
At least I have not seen at senior management positions. So the problem is twofold. The first is that, how digital you are today, and the more digital you go, this should be your top risk. But the thing is, we always get to a very high degree of comfort the moment we think we have put 1 or 2 or 3 layers of security, and then this risk vanishes from the system. And hackers and the protectors, they're all on the same side of the coin at the end of the day. So one hacks and then one sentinel or whatever.
There's some
and then
secret,
there will be another hacker who will break the
some
sentinel.
secret agreement is
And,
there. Yeah.
so the whole thing is that this should be at the top, at the senior management level. I'm not talking about
Absolutely.
the plant operational level. I'm
Yeah.
talking the more digital you are going into the organization, this will become your top risk.
Yeah.
And whether it is said or whether it is not said,
Hmm.
the impact of any cybersecurity is going to be quite significant
Right.
for any company.
Right.
Whether it is stoppage of production, loss of data, or you are not able to get the revenues in that quarter, and the stock market, because it's not going to
Oh,
look
they're
upon you very,
unsparing.
very easily,
It will be
and
very
and
punishing.
when such thing happens, it takes few months to recover.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, somebody told me that it's good you go back to the records.
Yeah, right.
So I think the way the suggestions come from the leadership team when you get to such type of issues is that maybe our old banking system is good.
Go back to the paper.
Go back to the paper, which cannot be. So I think this is a necessity, and again the realization from the senior management should be that this is at the top of my risk, and then you will start focusing on how do you de-risk it,
Yeah.
rather than to leave it in the hands of some people at the different levels to say that this is like, I have experienced these reviews, so I can quote without naming the company. Sab theek hai na? And that fellow will never say that theek nahi hai, sir.
Nahi.
Okay.
Yeah, because-
I haven't heard anybody say that theek nahi hai, sir. Everybody will say, हाँ बिल्कुल sir, आप चिंता मत करिए. So this type of a dialogue, when it happens, I get very worried. Actually, that are we really looking at this as a risk? And in one of the organizations, I got a big consultant on the risk management. I thought he will put this as one of the big risks, but he started putting geographical tension. These are all anywhere. These are risks for everybody. You don't have to worry about. I think the point I am trying to make is that at senior most leadership level here or in the organization, when the enterprise risk management is taken seriously, then only you will be able to solve these problems. But if the risk management is like, SEBI wants a LODR and therefore you have a risk management, that's okay. As long as, you are able to do something better than nothing, it is fine. But I think the ability for some of the CIOs and CIDOs to influence the senior management to include this as one of the top risks for the organization, not leaving it in the hands of plant or in the hands of some managers at different level who are users. Okay, I think then only you will be able to otherwise, this can lead to a disaster in a company. If you are 100% digitalized, you are almost ready for a disaster. Okay.
I had heard in one of the places where they mentioned that to get something approved in your organization, you need to be very friendly with the CFO. Otherwise, it doesn't get approved. So you're absolutely right on that, right? So I think this part is also handled well. Thank you again.
Because
So-
I think just to
Sure.
put a closure point to this, I think this is also proactively, it is not the CDO or CIO responsibility. We need to see that each employee is playing and wearing that hat, because this threat comes to the individuals, right? Where they get via email. So proactive means like everybody has to be vigilant, like Singapore. If you see there is no police, but everybody is so vigilant. And something happens within a minute, you will see, people have all kind of information. So that is very, very important to develop that kind of a culture, and people are getting trained very regularly about it. It's like it's like a mandatory to be aware and some kind of simulations.
Great point.
And then being transparent with your customers.
Absolutely. Well said. Yeah. Cool. So now we go to the next important point, aligning ESG goals with production metrics. Who wants to go first on that? ESG is like, it's really becoming a hot topic. People are discussing it more and more on green chemistry. I think I had actually engaged Dr. Ramrao in one of these topics on green chemistry and how he is implementing it. You want to kickstart on that, sir?
Just one second. No,
Sure.
On the previous point, I would like to acknowledge the investment made by Rockwell to make their products cybersecurity compliant.
Thank you. Perfect. Right. Cool. So we have 2 more discussion points and we have about 15 minutes. Yeah. So we'll have to quickly do this. Yeah.
So ESG is a topic which was spoken a lot before Trump came. And after the Trump came, I think...
Again, it just went.
I think I have seen the organization, because I was dealing with some of the CEOs and chairmen of the companies before Trump and after Trump. And,
Actually.
And I can share examples without naming the companies that, before Trump, it is like, how much
no
carbon
global warming.
footprint, so we used to prepare, how green is your green plant. And so I think this is what I call it as a social responsibility for the organizations, not a requirement that is coming from a regulatory authority outside this, but it is going to happen. What you see in Uttarakhand, what you see in some of the typhoons, and then the recent one in the US where 60, 70, 80 people were. So this topic is very important, but instead of this being done for somebody else, I think I flip the coin and say that how much amount of social responsibility that the organization is really looking at. And that means people like me, some people like here. So when it comes to that, it starts with actually, most of the time, I don't mind making this brutal comment. You have a solar panel and, you put it as an energy saving and you get some brownies and you say that you are a green plant. Okay. So I think you should do that. I'm not telling that you should not get into, unconventional energy management. But more importantly, when we look back, I think the organization's green footprint is actually impacted right from the laboratory where what you're doing the work. And this has to be, and this is my personal experience, that when you really want to look at the carbon footprint, don't encourage this low-hanging fruit. Anyway, it will happen. So irrespective of whether you want to do it or not, it's going to happen, because somebody is there with solar, he will come and sell the solar energy and you buy it. But more important is that a lot of introspection that need to be done by the senior most levels to say, where is the carbon footprint generation happening? If that question is asked, then the answer is very simple, that it starts from lab And most of us know that, the processes, once you develop, are like the sins you have committed, which are going to stay with you. So, that's it. You can't change the process, and your customer, some CDMO businesses are there. Your customer doesn't want to change anything, So, your carbon footprint remains constant. You can't do any much. But if you are influential and if you are able to come with a solution which is better, I'm sure no customer will be averse to it. Maybe there is a gestation period before that gets implemented. So one of the important elements on the ESG is that, and this is where the AI and digitalization should help right in the beginning when you select a synthetic scheme or when you select a formulation. Most of the time, I don't know, maybe some exceptional companies may be there, but otherwise all the solvent is going into the air, so everybody's, I'm sure some of you have experienced that. So first is that the AI and the digital tool should enable you to calculate your carbon footprint even before you conduct the first experiment. And as you travel and say, my process is ready, you ask somebody to calculate by, now I think, I myself have done this calculation to prove to somebody that, what he is thinking is a good process is actually the worst. But you can't do it for every product. So it's very important that, the AI, what we are talking about, should actually give the mirror to the people who are developing that how bad their process is or how good is their process. And I think it should start from there, because whatever you commit in the lab is going to happen in the plant. And I am not sure anybody has got so much amount of freedom to change in the manufacturing. But most of the time we put the blame in manufacturing, saying that, you haven't done this well. But of course, there is an effort from manufacturing as well. I'm not telling that. But majority, in my experience as head of R&D, head of global operations, as having seen the plants and all, I think this is one area where the organization should. The second and a very important area is the manufacturing and operations has a bigger responsibility to reorient their thought. Most of the time, OTIF is the first parameter. Cost is the second parameter. Manpower is the third parameter. And that's it. There's no further discussion on the fourth topic. And how many people really say how much is the carbon footprint generated by each plant? So we talk a lot. Some responsible companies do take sustainability report as a serious item. But one thing that should be implemented is that through AI, you should be able to really bring out a sustainability report, whether it is Rockwell, whether it is Dr. Reddy's, or whether it is Granules, or whether it is Novartis, anybody else in the country. They should be able to bring out a report which will say that this is the one which we are going to look at.
I think Dr. Reddy's does that.
Many companies do it. But the thing what I am trying to say is, one is to report, but the second is the solution. I think that's where I leave it. But the social responsibility is not the responsibility of just the senior management alone. It's the responsibility of everybody who is developing. And somebody lifts his hand and says that this is what I can do.
Sure.
So I think that kind of transformational journey is necessary. Otherwise, we will end up only with solar panels and.
Ram, do you face situations where CDMOs don't really care, or do they ask you to?
It's one of the, I would say again, it's a compulsion from an innovator. We need to
all of them.
We used to submit the ESG roadmap to them, and also we do the product life cycle assessment for them. What is the current carbon footprint? How are we going to improve? And also we do a lot of PMI when we develop the process. What kind of a PMI it is?
Right.
So that's the requirement from the innovators. And as Dr. Ramarao said, from operation point of view, we could really do very well. It's like solar panels, commit to SPTA targets, create a roadmap. But the R&D part is still missing. Like as he rightly said, the process which we are developing is really a sustainable process. The kind of solvent we use and whether it can be reusable. So that is where we need to do a lot of action to be done from the R&D side. Operation side, whatever we could do, we are doing it, and in terms of improving the operations point of view from the sustainable process. And also, I know we are also discussing with some of the provider what is going to be my power consumption year on year, how much I'm doing it online, and what is my year on year targets, what kind of CO2 emissions I'm generating on real time. So those kind of things also we have started working on it. So from operation point of view, it's we are really doing well, but from R&D side, it's a lot of things to be done.
Yeah, I think it's this. I think I very much agree with what they're saying in terms of the fact that it has to start from the lab, and we have people who have, especially those who are leading R&D or spent 20-25 years in R&D. They have a certain way of doing things, and even as a company leadership and probably a level below, even the CSOs, when they agree to, or they are very much aligned with the ESG framework, but it's the levels below who really have to change the way that they're thinking about things. And in a way, it is very aligned to what we are even talking about AI. That ultimately it has to also, there's a huge level of people trying to be aligned to it, which is an issue. And I think that's where we are spending our energies on ensuring that people in the R&D are able to see the issues and work on it, so that then it flows through the rest of the organization.
Sure. Tushar, you will also agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree to all three of them. I think just to add, ESG is also about diversity.
Yes.
So some part of diversity goals are also there as a part of every company, right? And diversity just doesn't mean that have a female in the team.
Yeah.
Of course, it's meritocracy at the end of the day, but even a specially abled person joins a group, he brings in a different perspective altogether. So I think diversity is also one of the topics in the board conversations in every company for the matter, right? People have taken target 30%, 35% that diversity.
Yes.
And all. So I think that is also an important aspect. But at the end of the day, IIoTs is the right technology for measuring the baselining part of it. Right. And also all the solar panels and all probably will be very operational. But I think at a enterprise level, the way we should look at sustainability, like even for example, many of the companies many of the big pharmas are expecting their suppliers to be carbon neutral by certain 20-30 times and all. So if at all we want to continue to supply to a big pharma, you need to be carbon neutral. There is again a compliance angle, just one more sword hanging on our head, which can crack down anytime. So I think that is another important aspect which we are looking at.
Perfect.
Because I just want to make two more points on this. One is on the every customer wants you to be fully compliant on the carbon neutral, and you should be the lowest cost player.
Yeah.
So I just want
what a tragedy that is.
It is a real. Resources. The second point is on the safety. Okay, the entire thing ESG most of the time is played on the environment and the diversity. But the recent accident in Hyderabad, series of accidents which have happened, the chlorine leakage which has happened a day back, and there is a CDMO company where 17 people died in one part of the geography in Andhra Pradesh. I think when you really look at this, my take is that safety is because this also links to your previous point number 2. That when you say digitalization, actually my experience of manufacturing is that it is run by contract labor. Okay, there is a 70% to 60% contract labor, and if the contract labor doesn't come, production doesn't happen. Maybe few companies are exception. I don't want to touch them. So when you are really talking about the digitalization, the biggest indicator is when you have zero contract labor actually. If you are making contract labor to do the operations, and then the safety issues which come as a part of the ESG. So the solution, I think this is where companies like Rockwell, companies who are forward looking on the digital They all need to come together to say how safe is the operation. So can we dream one day that we can have a manless manufacturing? Okay, that is the true power of digitalization. Today we can always say I have done this digitalization, but this is a debate which, as a CEO, I always encountered in the last 14 years. How much manpower reduction? Sir, manpower need to increase by 20%. Okay, I have never seen, and this is my experience. If somebody else has seen, they can educate me. I have always asked for a manpower reduction, and there is always an increase in the manpower, including the technology on the IT side. Because you are doing digitalization, it goes up, and then you have every year there's a manpower.
What a dilemma this is.
So this is a big dilemma for the chief executives of organizations where, sorry to take a little time, but I wanted to make this point that where the true example of digitalization, in my opinion, I know people don't have to agree with this, but if you have nobody manufacturing, no man is there to manufacture, and you are able to get it. And people have this syndrome called FAMO, fully automated, manually operated plants. Okay, and this I have seen in many plants. Okay, one or two may be exceptions. Please don't consider the exceptions here. But you have a fully automated fluid bed dryer. People actually do everything manually. Okay, and a problem happens, OEM will come. This OEM is a god,
big
demigod. So it's a OEM driven manufacturing, and
you have to.
And so I think this syndromes need to be taken out, and ESG, the safety part, a lot to do with the digital and AI. If you don't remove the manpower, because I think I saw workforce. Workforce is not actually the people who are managers, senior managers, they don't run the manufacturing. They run the PPTs. Okay, the actual work is done by the people who are at a supervisor level and one level above. They are the ones who run the manufacturing. And as long as you do that, there is always a gap in terms of the training, in terms of their knowledge, their understanding. So I think ESG becomes a very critical parameter to do the business.
Absolutely.
And digital and AI should work towards, Rockwell comes and says that, look, I will give you a system and a solution which will eliminate the entire manpower and you will get the production. I think who will say no to it? Okay. Cost of, and my experience is that the return on investment is tenfold compared to, the initial capital that goes into it. Okay, because manpower cost increases by 10% every year, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, good. So, all right. So that kind of concludes the. Okay,
I'll just take one extra sentence, and I think Rajesh will also agree with me, and I 100% agree with what Dr. Ramrao just now said. And in fact, this morning we celebrated that one significant part of one of our plants is now running what we call lights off.
Lights off. Okay.
Lights off is where there is no human. When
Amazing.
the operation is started. Wow. But that means a lot. It means that your systems, your machines, everything is absolutely robust. The product and the technology around the product is robust. And therefore, it can run lights off, which means without people, that is a huge.
That's amazing. So this is the same thing that came up in our panel discussion where Sanjay Chaturvedi mentioned that in the entire manufacturing side, there were only 3 people, including the security guards. So this is
another small thing that about the environment part that was being discussed is, in fact, last week one person within my company only came and asked me that whether we can automate the calculation of scope 3 emissions. Now, scope 3 comes from all your suppliers. So your SAP system and your procurement orders that you have placed on them can be converted into how many truckloads coming from where, etc., which can then automatically calculate the scope 3 emissions for you.
Amazing.
And your own employees, the cars they use, or two-wheeler. I mean,
everything
is
an
approximation
mapped.
level. All of that, whether we can put it in a manner that it can directly flow into my sustainability report.
Superb.
So and that doesn't need
probably
very
sets a very high benchmark.
And it doesn't need high funda digitalization.
Okay.
This is quite simple.
So just continuing.
It's about application of digital.
First purpose of maybe digital system is like how can we do reporting? Maybe single version of digital truth, probably to call it as, scope 1, scope 2, of course, we'll have data, internal data that from there we can do reporting. Scope 3 is what Venkat is mentioning to. So not just the material coming to us, but then what the requirement is to report or to how much is their emission. Entire data need to look at. So we'll have to, of course, we need to look at various portals that are available, global portal where we'll get such kind of data. So that's where digital systems can actually do an enterprise level reporting is what the first place that can come in. Second is we spoke about, if we implement systems, like when we digitalize, let's say we spoke about MES, or we spoke about the infrastructure, digital infrastructure that we're talking about. Let's say, of course, paper is the first place we start with, right? So paper elimination contributing to it, but then the important factor is like how this system is creating agility in the organization in terms of execution. Right. So from there, we are in a position to say, even with the core execution that we are talking about, core systems, core execution processes, where we are able to create agility and hence the conversion cost. Right. The cycle time is getting reduced, and then the conversion cost is actually getting reduced, and hence directly contributing to the emissions reduction. And third is, with on top of that, if you are able to do analytics of data, various advanced analytics, etc., that's where we can improve yield, we can eliminate failures, and hence again the conversion cost is getting reduced. So that's a way, that's an end-to-end way we need to look at, and to the to the point that we started with. The investment is not, let's say, we are taking a decision for MES implementation, not as minuscule benefit or ROI for from that perspective. I think let's say the productivity benefit is a little bit of increasing, etc. But then the calculation that we need to apply, what kind of agility this can bring into, and then using data that we are getting that's generating by system, throughout the execution, using that data, what kind of business process improvement we can make, and hence what could be the benefits. I think that's the end-to-end view we need to look at, rather than from a specific piece of localized implementation. I think that's how we started with. That's how I would like to summarize.
Super, perfect. Here, just I would like to add, everything we are doing for the productivity. Now, how digitalization or automation or AI or everything, if you can correlate with the real productivity, means the plant capacity realization, that gives a big value. I give you I will not name the company, with a simple focus on 3 factors: DELO, which is removal of non-value added item. Second is the OE, and third is the training there, the frontline managers with little bit of digital training. The productivity has gone up by 42%. The cost of conversion has gone back to what they used to be in 2018. So simple focus, because all the cost, it's going to be built on the product. And that has to come from the capacity realization. If you add it, a system with X value, it will add to depreciation. The cost, profitability goes down. But if that can give me a little bit of betterness at the operational level, so that kind of correlation, even the cost and the carbon footprint, both are correlated. If your capacity realization is much more or increasing with the digitalization or automation, so with the same consumption of energy, you are producing much more. So per unit, the carbon footprint goes down, per unit cost goes down. I agree with Ramarao Garu is that the focus is not on the calculation and the presentation of carbon footprint. So we calculate how much productivity, what is the cost, and other factors. So there also the focus can come. And I give you again, with this kind of activity in the plant, 32% per unit carbon footprint got reduced. If we take it only the manufacturing, the other places, if you add it, it's less. But within the manufacturing domain, 32% in a calculation of carbon footprint has gone down.
It's amazing.
So basically all are interrelated. Now we have just not to see the automation, digitalization, AI in a one aspect. The measuring parameters has to be in all, and it helps in the most of the domain. Thank you.
Lovely. This is great. So I think, Mohima, how much time do we have? We are already running a little, not a little, quite above the time limit. But all thanks to the passionate speakers here. Yeah. Do we have 10 more minutes? So do we skip the part of digital pilots to plant-wide rollouts? Is that something, because it's been covered in our discussion. So the last one is about building a collaborative ecosystem. Is that something that appeals to people? Maybe Ram, you want to take this? How can OEMs, CDMOs, tech providers, and regulators work together to accelerate digital maturity?
Yeah, basically, in CDMO, especially when we talk about.
We have 10 minutes. Sorry about that, but yeah, we have to wrap up.
So there are a lot of each silos are there. If we talk about starting from my gate, there is a gate entry system, then there is a warehouse, then there is a manufacturing, then there is an utility, then the quality control, then the quality assurance, then batch goes out. So each and every steps, there is a requirement of digital, or it's either an automated system. That's what I was saying, that we have to collaborate each and every service provider. For example, I have an SAP, I have a warehouse management system, I have an LMS, I have a DCS, I have a SAP for a business process. All this needs to be integrated, and then it's really become a digital factory. So that's where we need to collaborate and create an ecosystem where it's a one truth where we all can seamlessly we can integrate. Now what's happening is, one of the disadvantages, let's say we are all working on the silos. That is also one of the issue where we are not able to collaborate and get that real value out of the digital thing. So when we integrate as a really, it's what we call it as a digital factory, where everybody is integrated and give the results, that will definitely give the return on investment or whatever we are looking at, and that will definitely will be an ROI, and each and every CFO will love to see that.
Right.
No, I would address this in a different way. See, if you look at the Apple, Samsung, everyone's, Apple had a different charger type. Okay, charges, it was never C. Now they have come to the C, same standard.
Yes.
What pains me is that if you bring a very different, so you have to convert into a different language to talk to another. This has to be solved by the industry. If you give me one native language, I will be able to digitize my system very fast. Some of the pains that they are suffering, I am also suffering. I have so much of a system, and then there is a capaware which is actually talking to each other, then converting that system into another. Why should we do that? Bring to a one standard system, and if the systems is one standard, I would be able to digitize my firm very, very quickly. If you can help us solve this, we will see.
Yes, we can talk about it. You have a 10-minute time limit, but I'll just give a half a minute rejoinder to that. See, the thing is, there's a lot of technology debt, right? There is a humongous amount of, so everyone is putting out systems which now tend to be much more open while being secure, right? It's a fine balance. But then what do you do about the installed base, right? So systems evolved. Things that evolved, in the Western Hemisphere and then in Europe and, elsewhere. And all of that has to be taken around. Unlike the enterprise side of the house, where, the obsolescence rates are much faster, what has been commissioned, we were talking about the Vizag SEZ facility, right? Which was set up when about 12 years ago, still running on the same DCS, right? And we'll find ways to extend the life and so forth. So how do you integrate everything that's installed? We frequently encounter systems that were set up at a time when there was no concept. You're talking about interoperability. I'm talking about any make of a system where there's no concept. It was set up at a time when no one had a concept of cyber at all. So, the situation is a lot more complex. And that's where leadership and an attitude to integrate whatever is there in a brownfield setting comes in. Takes domain expertise, but yeah, things are changing now going forward. So yeah.
Any other thoughts,
Yeah.
Tushar? You haven't spoken on this.
My understanding of the question, I'm just trying to relate. You
So-
were saying
so
about the
Partnership,
industry.
whether all of the ecosystem can
Yeah.
come together, and
Okay,
why I
alright.
wanted you to answer is because I always feel regulators are there to question the companies. CDMOs are always there to kind of see what best they can do for their principles. So I mean, it's a difficult task to have.
Absolutely. So I think first and foremost is, by the way, I came here from another session and we were talking this one important question. We were calling it as a product dilemma. I'm not sure what exactly the term was, but yeah, one line catering to multiple markets, right? And every market has a different requirement.
Yeah.
US needs a certain kind of label. Maybe Europe needs
EU
something
needs-
else. Russia needs something else.
Yeah.
Same line is supposed to manage all this regulation, right? And they don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
Chinese regulator will not talk to the US regulator, will not talk to the Russian
There is
regulator.
no harmonization.
There's no harmonization, right? So then it creates complexity in the operations at what we run at the plant. And it is not limited to just complexity. It also, there are a lot of challenges, right? For example, where is the space in a line, in packaging line or a secondary packaging line? There's no space left in the plant. All our plants are like 15-year-old, 20-year-old plants. Where will you keep a new equipment now? And we, Mr. Venkatara will actually echo because we both worked on the similar project. So I think that is an area wherein kind of a collaboration helps to have a unified systemic intervention. Talking about us pharma companies, there are certain areas wherein a consortium kind of a setup helps, right? Like for example, sharing of data. Some part which is readily available, published data could be shared. Some which is IP, they will not share, of course. But that mindset of not competing but collaborating is important, and I think I see that is happening in the industry, but not in Indian space. Right, a lot of US companies, Europe companies are coming together, but Indian context is more very competitive because we need to be cost competitive at any point in time, right? So I think that is something which will help to shape the industry. Someone spoke about AI. AI is data hungry, right? There are 5 pillars about data, about AI, and I can talk about it for hours because that's my subject. I love about it. But then that whole data piece, if at all we are not able to have millions of data records, it won't work, right? So the consortium kind of a setup with a partner ecosystem along with the whole pharma space, probably the conversation will be more around collaborating, agreeing and collaborating and going ahead together in this journey, right? Data will talk to each other within the company's sphere, and I know what Biren is coming from, that how do you make your internal systems talk to each other? How do you make that relationship between a front end and a back end system, and then make some data, make an AI agent to give you a nudge that, hey, look, this is likely to fail and whatever it is. That's the end state, of course, within the company. But how it will happen that if at all multiple companies come together, form a good consortium and help each other solving the problem at a large is something which is missing today. And I'm not talking about a cartel, like automotive, there's a cartel. We all know about it. But at least the collaboration is expected.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think recently on that front, I think some of you would have seen there's a IPSO which has been formed as a consortium. But right now, I think they are looking more at the problem from a perspective of supply chain and trying to deal with the problem of
the CDMOs group.
CDMO group with the supply chain problem with China, and also probably in terms of lobbying with the government, right? But again, I think this too is an area which is a possibility and definitely we need to be looking at. But in terms of the mindset of a pharma company, it is usually to be inward looking and to really conserve information. And that is something that really, even for something like IPSO, I think getting that together too took a lot of effort, I think, but it's good that we are working in that direction. But I think on the digitization too, I don't know how it would really work, because I know how things work internally. Just today we were looking at a AI tool which could help us in terms of our business development. And the fear ultimately within the BD people who have been working, say, 20, 30 years in the industry is, I don't want to give my information out. Yeah, so I think how do you solve that is a problem. Yeah.
Sure. So, ironically, I have one data point. Ironically, it's a different data point. So, I am a part of a group like Novartis, GSK, other things. They are very well collaborating on the newer technology.
Yeah.
For example, science of developing a microsphere. So, they have a good system of engineers, chemical engineers, and all the engineers. They have a good database. They experiment. They don't name the product, but they put the data, the behavior of the product. And apparently everyone is benefiting. If you go to ASCHE conference, I see everyone presenting similar things, but they're all growing together. In a generic space, I think there is more
the fierce
closeness, yeah. And I don't know how to solve it, but this is a fact. Yeah.
They do come together. Maybe about 15, 20 years ago, there was a acronym created called LAZOR, LAZOR.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, Lupin, LM, I think, Alembic, Zydus, Ranbaxy, C, Orchid, I think all of these combined. And then that group it was actually spearheaded by Satish Khanna. Yeah. And then so they achieved those goals and everyone came together. So when there is a common problem, FDA was really becoming tough and then they formed it. So a common adversary made people come very friendly. So
yeah, maybe the tariff time has come. So time to collaborate now.
Absolutely. So I think, yeah, sure.
I think I try to bring several collaborators to solve some complex problem. After spending an year with them, this Harry Belafonte song, actually, there's a hole in the bucket. I don't know how many of you know about this song. This song actually reminded me that, and then I said, I like it, what he says, it is all inward looking and you need to find a solution by yourself most of the time. Otherwise, the blame goes from A to B to C, and that song has a very deep impression on me. Having said that, I think today's world, depending on somebody else to find your solution is not going to be a solution at all. There will be people who will be always there, but they will only give you the service. So we can't say, okay, we all come together and let us solve the problem. Yeah, this is fine in 5-star hotels, but the moment you really want to solve a problem by yourself, I think, at least my experience goes that you go behind the people. In fact, when I wanted to do a complete electronic BPR solution, there were so many challenges. Then ultimately, we didn't go to 15 different people. We took the help of Rockwell, we took the help of others, but at the end, we are able to deliver the solution by ourselves. So my suggestion is collaboration is good, but collaboration is to the extent where you take the lead to solve the problem. Collaboration should not lead to say that, okay, other fellow will solve my problem, I'll wait for it. Okay. The ownership of finding a solution should lie with you, while collaboration will enable you to deliver the solution. Okay. So that I think is a very important element. Otherwise, collaborations are definitely a hole in the bucket.
Right. On that humorous and should I say still a very positive note, I think we can wrap it up here.
One addition, quick addition.
Pardon? You want to add something? Yeah, with very limited time.
Sure. Couple of aspects, and one is from the IT systems connecting together. Right? Of course, the technology is increasing. That's one of the topic came up, right? Let's say from IDOC to file transfer to now, let's say REST APIs. These are the technology progress that is happening. On the OT side, now moving from standalone system to from OPC to as a protocol now to MTP, and then I also know that Rockwell is complying to the latest protocol, that is MTP, media transfer protocol. That's the latest things coming in. Remember, the concept is plug and produce, right? So interoperability. So that's the concept, and then that's where that new protocol came up. From integration perspective, now coming to the collaboration, like I think our regulators or industry OEM plus etc. can come together. That's where I see. Let's say ISP, PDA, and when it comes to India specifically, there are many organizations, and then I think prominent one now from laser to, let's say, now move to IPA, the Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance, etc. These are the
that is where all of us, all these 3 or 4 stakeholders coming together and discussing real life problems. Actually, we can be factual. And then, let's say last week, 2 weeks back is what one conference happened here in Hyderabad, the 3 days conference, where I could see regulators from every regulatory agency was present, in that session. I know 3 days listening to regulators. I don't know how
You managed to survive.
but the participation was about 700. That was good. So I think so. And then also, like, I can tell you from IPA or let's say ISB or PD, etc. We come together and we create standards together. So regulation is one place where we need to meet the regulatory aspects, but how to meet regulation, that is where the standards are getting created. And then these people, like this, when we're coming together, we are able to create how to meet the regulations. And specifically for digital, I always depend on GAMP. I'm also part of the GAMP committees, etc. Various technical reports or the standards is what we create. And then through IPA also, let's say even cybersecurity, we were able to come together with various companies, 6 top companies, and then we are coming together and we are creating various industry reports. How can we meet so that we are able to solve the actual challenges which Indian industry is focusing. That's how I would say.
Sure.
These are the various opportunities.
Very good note. Yeah, I know IPA does a lot of things together.
Yeah.
Again, I think and things have really started improving. So thank you so much. I think deepest appreciation for all of you for opening up so much and wholehearted participation. Nobody was really, I saw everyone was having rapt attention. And of course, I could see so many notes taken by Dilip. So yeah, it's over to you now. I have spoken a lot. So
No, thank you so much. Well, first of all, Vikas, thank you so much for anchoring it in such an engaging manner. So I want to begin with that.
thank you.
And also because I want to pick up from something that you said, which was 250 man-years of pharma industry expertise, and that was on full display here. So thank you so much, because I don't think there was an aspect relating to our industry that was not touched. All the way, I couldn't think of any aspect that we should have touched upon and we did not, while being time constrained. So, I want to begin with from that one aspect. It's getting late, so I'm not going to keep it long. And I thought the best thing to do is to probably connect a few dots, and that'll probably be the best way to sum this whole thing up, right? First and foremost is we spoke about, there is complexity, and as we figured out coming out of pandemics and then the supply chain constraint times that we have lived through, and now we are living through these tariff uncertainties, the complexity is here to stay. It's durable, it's permanent, it's going nowhere, and businesses have to really learn how to deal with it. And the one way by which we can overcome complexity, you can add to the complexity as well by using technology. There are a lot of technology people here, myself included. So we know we can do that. You apply technology the wrong way, you're actually going to add to the complexity. But the one way by which you can seriously tackle and overcome, surmount complexity and gain competitive advantage is through the use of digital powered innovation, right? There's a lot of discussion that happened today around producing results, right? We spoke about productivity, outcome orientation, all of those things. I think the eyes have to be sharply focused on those areas. We talk about digital transformation. Over the last few years, I found myself dropping the word digital altogether so that you can have naked focus on transformation, because businesses need to transform, right? If you do not transform, if we do not work on improving our processes, the ways of working, you gave a very nice example of someone being very comfortable, with just punching in, figures into the calculator and putting it over there because the stakes are so high. And I'm comfortable in working in this way and I'll continue working that way, right? No, sorry. If I give you the best of the digital tools, it's only going to if that's the way you're going to work, please work with the calculator only, right? You adopt this, it's going to make it much more complex for you, right? Because it's going to put sort of constraints and limits and all of that stuff. So, I just wanted to lay that out. I think we have to simplify. Transformation just must happen. We have to have different ways of working. If the ways of working are not going to change, then, you lost the battle even before you started to fight. So that's one thing. The other thing is, and I'm going in random order, and you're right, because I've taken like 5 pages of notes here, right? But I'm just going to jump through. I pick up an odd place to start, but Tushar, you spoke about diversity, and I wanted to connect a dot to what Venkat was saying. You spoke also about reverse mentoring, and another aspect about diversity really is the generational diversity, which just must be harnessed, because that's one sure shot way. Reverse mentoring is really, the right paradigm to be thinking about, is to accelerate this transformation that should come in. Blending experience, like you so eloquently put it, blending experience and the digital native capabilities, to bring about this change, right? So loved all of those things, right? Dr. Ramarao, you spoke about, how did you put it? You spoke about, the operations eventually becoming, did you say manless, right? That was a phrase that you used, right? And I really liked it because vision that we have, right? Now, I speak on behalf of my organization, but I know that the entire industry is evolving in that direction. We're seeing this shift happen from automation to autonomy, right? Now, autonomy is not because we want to eliminate people from the equation. No. Autonomy is because it's a journey. You get to that state where you are able to simplify, complex operations to a state where you can close the loop. Automation to autonomy also is driving closed loop optimization, an example of which you saw in Krishna's presentation, right? You're taking an extremely complex series of processes, and you're able to deploy digital powered innovation so that you can close the loop. Now, by being able to do that, you're able to achieve 2 things. First is optimization, right? Now, we can talk about, at what level are we optimizing? Eventually, it's optimizing at a very abstract level, resources, both human resources, material resources, your CapEx resources, because so many equipments are deployed over there, et cetera, et cetera. You're able to learn, right? Who said that? Tushar, you said that AI is data hungry. Beautifully put, right? I came across a study, this was a couple of years back, right? We all know that manufacturing is probably after finance and fintech and entertainment, manufacturing is the 3rd largest producer of data, right? Because there are all kinds of systems that are out there. How much of data really gets harnessed? Anyone wants to take a guess of the data that's produced? Less than 10%? It's 10% of the answer that you gave.
Oh
it
my
is,
God.
yeah,
Just
it
1%.
is. It's between 1 to 1.5%. I can't recall the exact figure that was cited in this report, right? Petabytes of data are getting produced, right? Because every device, every sensor that's out there, right, is producing. Now imagine you don't have to go from 1 to 100%. If you could go from 1 to 5%, your ability to characterize your processes just gets amplified so much. So your ability to eventually go to those places where Dr. Ramarao, you were talking about, did you say that, the process that you created are the sins that you had to live with? I'm just trying to paraphrase, what you had said, right? If you're able to characterize your processes and understand where the carbon footprint is getting sort of vitiated, right? Then you can do a lot about it. And that again goes back to the closed loop optimization. So data is very, very important, and our ability to harness data, to consume that data and to produce net new insights which were never known to us has exponentially increased. I would go to the extent of saying that has exponentially increased since we started this conversation, because that's the pace at which industry is moving right now. I mean, it's breathtaking pace of development of technology in times that we are living with, right? So, now there was a very nice conversation today. I want to compliment, this forum around how we linked ESG with AI and digital. I think that is very, very important. It's very critical because, if you really have to improve your carbon footprint, you have to have a very clear understanding of where the carbon footprint is getting distorted, to use maybe an inappropriate term, right? And digital gives you a way to do that. Modern DCSs, one that we put into the market included, it has the capability right now today to tell you that the process that you're running right now has a carbon footprint of X. And it gives you a way, and if it is worse than what you anticipated it to be, it gives you a way to work back as to what was the root cause contributor to that. How powerful is that? Now, how are we able to achieve this? Is because you're running models. And models, there are people here who are PhD chemists and such, right? Models have been there. Yeah, complex math has been solved for decades, right? But what really is giving us that capability is massive amount of compute capability, which is now getting embedded at the edge, right? And all of these things are creating possibilities that we didn't have access to even like a couple of years back. And I'm sure that 6 months later there'll be another new capability. And that brings us back to the conversation that was happening is, do we have the ability to absorb this kind of change, right? And I would then go back to one of the last points that you touched, which was about partnerships. I have a point of view on that. Ours is a 120-year-old organization. And if you were a fly on a wall in one of our internal meetings, we're very proud of our technology, right? But the one thing which has really made us successful, and over the long haul, internally, we believe is partnerships. No one company can solve it all, right? And by being able to bring together the best of minds, working not in a client situation, but before you present yourself in a client situation, right? Picking up a problem and finding out a way to solve that so that then you present yourself to the industry and, hey, listen, this is how it's done, right? And I think we are living in times where the need for you to respond to whatever things we spoke about, the cyber threats are evolving so rapidly. So how are we to tackle that? Can any one company come up with ways to overcome that? It's just not feasible. The cost to do that would be, at the time, forget about it. Let's say cost was not even a constraint. Time is really a constraint, right? How do you tackle that, right? Is by bringing people together and creating meaningful alliances, right? Clients included, so that you tackle those things, right? And that's a firm belief inside my organization. That's the reason you saw in the presentation that Krishna made, right? And there's ample reference of folks like us who think like us that we work with, right? So that it gives us the ability to innovate faster. And innovate we must, right? I think it's a unique opportunity, and this is the industry which is really the poster child of Indian manufacturing globally. There isn't anything that comes even close, right? Around Indian manufacturing getting recognized, right? And this industry really just must be successful. It will always keep getting threatened, right? When we get squeezed and sandwiched between people who supply to us and people who are your customers, right? And innovation is, I believe, the only way out, right? So on that note, thank you all once again for, I'm carrying back a lot of knowledge with me and a lot of notes, but a lot of, new connections and and a lot of renewed ones. So Vikas, with that, back to you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. I think that really wrapped up so well. Before I came here, I was watching TV, and as you mentioned about manufacturing of pharma, Surjit Bhalla was speaking, and he said, two sectors we should be proud of to have made a global impact is IT and pharma. And these have actually developed more or less without any government support. And hats off to that, and salutes to all of you to have been doing that. We write from outside, but the joy of seeing success is probably equal. So that's what kept me going. Thank you so much, and I think that's a wrap.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Enjoy
Thanks
this.
a lot. Yeah.